Demonstrative in French Part 2, Pronouns with FrenchSpanishOnline.com. First we are going to see the translation of this one, that one, these ones and those ones in French. It's not so difficult. So this one is celui-ci for the masculine form and celle-ci for the feminine form. We can't actually say just celui. The word is celui-ci. That one is celui-là, celle-là. This one's ceci or celle-ci for the feminine plural form. Those ones, ceux-là, celle-là. Here we said that the translation of this one is celui-ci and the translation of that one is celui-là. But actually in modern French you can mix both words. There is not problem to translate this one. You sometimes hear celui-là instead, but it's not a problem in French. We mix the words. Let's take an example with book. Book is livre in French and it's masculine word. So I want this one. You will say, if you remember the pronoun, je veux celui-ci, masculine. I want that one, je veux celui-là. But as we said, actually, the translation of I want this one can be je veux celui-là too in French, no problem. Flower, flower is fleur and is feminine in French, so if you want to say I like this one, the translation will be j'aime celle-ci. I like that one, j'aime celle-là. Okay? Now we are going to see the translation of that of and those of. How to say that in French? That of is celui de or celle de for the feminine form, and the plural ceux de, celle de, the same pronunciation. So let's take some example now with our book. A book like that of Peter in French, un livre comme celui de Pierre, celui de Peter. Books like those of Peter, so the plural, des livres comme ceux de Peter. Another example with a feminine word, revolution or révolution in French. A revolution like that of 1789 in France will be une révolution comme celle de, because revolution is feminine, celle de 1789 en France. Okay? The difficulty that the expression that of in English is not always written. For example, a book like that of Peter can be a book like Peter's. But of course in French the translation will be un livre comme celui de Peter. Here is my sister's one. So depending on the gender of this word one, if we are talking about a book or something else, in French you will say voici celui de ma sœur or voici celle de ma sœur. Third part, the translation of the one that, the one who, those, etc. In French we will say celui que or celui qui to translate that for the masculine form, celle que or celle qui for the feminine form. The same thing for the one who, celui que, celui qui, celle que, celle qui, the plural ceux qui, ceux que or celle que, celle qui, and the same thing for those who. You may think that the translation of that in French is que and the translation of who is qui, but not all the time. We are going to see the point again, but there is a lesson about that and who and how to translate them in French, a lesson in video. If you want to go to FrenchSpanishOnline.com, you will find it. So, but let's take some example. The one that is on the table, the one that is on the table. We translate it in French by celui qui est sur la table, and we use here qui to translate that. Why? Because the subject of the verb is before the pronoun that. The subject is the one and it's before. For this reason, that is qui. Okay? If the one is feminine, you will say celle qui est sur la table. Let's take another example with que, the one that I have seen. Here the translation is celui que j'ai vu, so that becomes que. Why? because the subject of have is I, and I is after the pronoun that. For this reason in French is que, celui que j'ai vu, or of course the feminine form, celle que j'ai vue. Okay, it's clearer now for you. Which cousin? The one who came home? So how to translate who here and the one who in French? Quel cousin? Celui qui est venu à la maison? Again, the same rule. Where is the subject of came here? The subject is the one, and the one is before the pronoun. So in French, who becomes qui. But if you say the one who I love, here the subject is I, and I is after the pronoun who, so we are going to translate who by que. Celui que j'aime, the one who I love, celui que j'aime. Okay, and that's all. Thank you very much for watching this slide with me. If you want to practice and to make some exercise, go to the site FrenchSpanishOnline.com/magazine. This page, of course, it's free. C'est fini. Au revoir.